afternoon, everybody. This is Fago Franklin III with Newstitched Media. Today, I am joined by former wide receiver for the Minnesota Vikings, Matthew Hatchette. How you doing today, buddy?
What's going on, young fella? How you doing, my guy?
I can't complain. It's nice and beautiful out here, even though it's a little bit cold. So before we get into your NFL journey, can you give some inspiring words for some of my viewers?
Oh, inspiring words. Oh, man. That's just stay positive during these times. Everybody it was like May and June and July, and everybody's like, 2020 is the worst, and 2020 is, I'm like, you got 6 months left. You know what I'm saying? You got to go do something. Like, don't give up on it. Like, everybody's going to have to go through something. You're going to have your obstacles, and look at all the obstacles as an opportunity. And I guess that's my outset on 2020. And I've had a great year, in my opinion. I said I had COVID for a little bit, actually. But in my opinion, like I said, I'm going to use this as a stepping stone for the future, and not sit here and give up on a whole year or a whole couple months of my life. I'm still going to go out there and fight that fight every day.
How was your experience with having COVID?
I was just really tired. Like I said, I was only playing maybe for 2 or 3 days. I was really tired. I had the cold sweats for a little bit. Woke up a couple mornings with like dry mouth. And I did lose my sense of taste for like a day, and then I lost my sense of smell for about a week or so. But besides that, the symptoms weren't that bad. I didn't feel like I had the flu. I've had the flu before, and the flu was way worse, my personal opinion. But I do know some other people that had it way worse than me. And of course, there's people, thousands upon thousands that have literally passed away from this. So I do feel for them and their families. But for me personally, it was not that bad. And I thank, God that it wasn't that bad. And hopefully that's the worst I ever get it.
Amen to that. So I know we're getting into the holidays. What is your favorite memory of when you was growing up, like a Christmas memory?
Oh, man. Well, growing up, I related everything to sports. Again, I think the Christmas days or the Christmas Eve football games or basketball games, if you will, at the time. Like I said, the Jordan Bulls games on Christmas Day, stuff like that. I think as far as my youth years, when like I was, toddler years, those Christmases, we didn't have a lot of Christmas gifts. So those weren't things that I remember, I remember probably my teenage years when I was mostly watching sports during the holiday, especially on Thanksgiving. You had the Cowboys playing somebody, then the Lions playing somebody. Christmas Day, of course, like NBA basketball would take over. So I remember that type of stuff more than, anything that had to do with me personally.
What inspired you to kind of play football, and who did you love growing up as like a favorite wide receiver?
It's funny. I was a quarterback growing up, so I didn't model myself after any receiver. I was the number one fan of Michael Jordan, even though he wasn't a football player. I just liked what Michael brought to the game of basketball, how he carried himself, the personality. And somebody made a comment about Jordan back in the day. It's like, even if he wasn't Michael Jordan, he would still be Michael Jordan just because the way he carried himself. And I kind of took that away. It's like, yeah, you don't have to be a basketball player to become the next Michael Jordan, if you will. So I really looked up to Mike and what he did for his career, as far as just, again, always striving to be number one. There's an analogy I use, a physical analogy that I would use for him and Kobe, especially like if Mike or Kobe and they sit down at a table and they eat, they never get full, right? The average person, when they get full, they put the food aside and they get up from the dinner table. And I always had that, like, I'm never going to get full. I want to eat as much as I possibly can. And of course, now you use that in your life, your life passions more than just sport. But I think I took that away from Jordan. And then on the football side, I used to be a big Randall Cunningham.
Nice.
Because I was a quarterback in high school. And I was long and lanky, like Randall, and I used to scramble around, and, I could throw it a little bit. So I used to love watching Randall Cunningham. That's probably the biggest, fan of any football player. And of course, I watched the Barry Sanders of the world and Walter Payton. I was a huge Steelers fan growing up in Cleveland, Ohio. Everybody hated that. And I think that's why I love Pittsburgh, because I was in Cleveland. So that was great. But yeah, I was a huge Cunningham fan. And then, of course, by the grace of God, I got to play with him in Minnesota with the Vikings for a couple of years as well. So it all came 360 for me.
Was it a hard transition moving from quarterback to wide receiver?
Yeah, it was. Again, I wish I would have. Nowadays, looking at kids, they pick one sport, mostly one position, and they're working on that from ages 14, 15. And by the time they get to be 18 and 19 and they're in college, they've almost perfected that, that craft. But for me, again, I was quarterback in high school, and then I got to Langston University in Oklahoma, where I went to college, and I wanted to switch positions, and the coach wanted me to be a corner or safety, and I was like, I want to switch. I want to stay on the offensive side of the ball. I thought I had something to give on the offensive side as far as making plays. So I was like, I just want to switch to receiver. And I remember a guy by the name of Ed Daniels was our quarterback at Langston, and he could throw it anyway, and I wasn't going to be starting for sure. So I was like, yeah, let me go to receiver. But it took me a while to figure out the craft of receiver. I had never played it. And at the time we didn't have a receivers coach neither. So I'm sitting there watching, not myself, I'm watching like clips on Sunday. That's back then where you had like a VCR and you could like record and then like you can go back and watch it. But back in the day, the TV angle, you didn't see the receivers, right? So you would, like, as the play went along, you got to see like maybe a 1 second of the 7-second play of the receiver, and like that's all I had to watch. I'm learning off like little stuff like that, or replay where they did show the actual receiver, make the catch and stuff like that. So I got, it just took me a while to learn the craft, but again, I think I probably really didn't learn what a receiver was until I got to the NFL. But again, thank you for for everybody who tried to help me, during that process of learning receiver. I remember Ron Ingram came in as my senior year in college, and he used to play receiver in the CFL as well, I think. And so I learned some stuff from him, but I never had 4 years of coaching at the college position to learn receiver before I got to the NFL.
So tell me how you were emotionally feeling when the Vikings drafted you in 1997.
Oh man! Oh, that was by the grace of God. It was the moment. You only have probably 3 to 5 of these moments in your life where it's the moment, and that was one of the moments. And I remember I was a 7th round pick. So back in the day, there were 2 rounds in the NFL draft. So first day you had 1 through 3. So I didn't go 1 through 3. And I was sitting in my apartment just watching the draft on ESPN, and I had no calls. And then the next morning, like a team started to call, like the Rams called, the Cowboys, and the Chiefs, Falcons, I think. And then the Vikings were called, and I was like, okay, I got a shot. I got a shot. And then by I think like the 5th or 6th round came around, the Rams and Vikings, I think, were calling the most, saying, okay, they would say something like, well, we're looking to go receiver, but the head coach wants a linebacker. So we're gonna. That's what happens in the war room. They're biting for their players. And then I remember, April 23rd, 1997. I think at 4:05, 4:20, something like that p.m. Denny Green called me. He says, Matthew Hatchette. I said, yep. He's like, congratulations. And he put me on the phone with the PR people and administrators to get my flight. You go up there like the next day, you fly to Minnesota. We had mini camp like that following week. And so I talked to them, and then I hung up the phone and I just ran outside, and there was the Will Smith in Pursuit of Happiness, where he put his hand up. This was before Pursuit of Happiness, obviously. But it was the moment. Like, I put my hands up and I told God, like, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. But that moment, all the gassers and the running and the weights and the 5 a.m. and the 4 practices in one day and the the ice tub, all that stuff just came into that 1 5-second moment of it was all worth it. Because again, you go through the life of saying, I'm going to do A, but, I sure hope I get B. Well, why are you going to do A if you're not for sure you're going to, but nobody knows you're going to get B. That's, but you still got to go do A. And and again, you only get 3 to 5 of those in your lifetime. And that was one of those. That was one of my moments that I'll never forget. And I felt like the fullest person, on the planet at that time.
Who was the first team you played against, and how you was emotionally feeling when you first hit that field?
It's funny. I would like to think I could make plays back in the day. So I made splash plays. I made big plays. If I was playing in 2020, I'd be a Hall of Famer because, in 2020, one guy has one good game and they're like, oh, this is the next Randy Moss. And I'm like, he had one good game. What's the big deal? Mm-hmm. But so I would make splash plays. And my first play ever, right? We played the Hall of Fame game, Vikings versus the Seahawks in Canton, Ohio. Mm-hmm. And my first play ever, Randall Cunningham drops back and throws me like a 40-yard bomb, and I go and catch it with one hand, and I dive, and it's a great catch, and it puts us in I think a touchdown range right before the half, so everybody's going crazy. And I was like, the energy was great, but I was just like, I'm not done, in my mind. And I remember then I think I had a catch in the second half, so I played pretty good. And it's still preseason, and like I said, Chris Carter and Jake Reed, they were chilling because they're veterans at the time, so nobody else had a bigger play. I had the biggest play of the game. Mm-hmm. So I think we played on a Saturday, so we 2-a-days are starting back up again on next week. So Monday, we're back to regular practice 2-a-days. Mm-hmm. So after the morning practice, I remember the media wanted to talk to me, and I'm like, this is cool. Like I said, let me go talk to the media, whatever. And one of the guys said, you had a good game. You're playing great. You feel like you've made the team. Mm-hmm. And before I could get out of my mouth the answer, Denny Green was walking right behind me. And as he walks by, he just says, be careful how you answer that. And he kept walking. And that just stuck with me to like, yeah, that's over. That don't even matter no more. I get, it's like the practice I just had, that don't matter no more. I have to come out this afternoon and have my best practice ever. And then the next day I have to have my best practice ever. And I kind of took that as a lifelong lesson. Be careful, of sitting and enjoying your past, because your future is what's going to dictate, how your future is going to be. So it was that was the moment. I love the energy of the moment, but I never got caught up in the moment because I just wanted to, get to the next, be prepared for the next one, should I say.
With you coming in as a young buck, what did Chris Carter tell you to kind of give you advice and tips on how to pursue your career?
Chris didn't tell me much at the time. I think Jake Reed told me a little bit more because Jake had the same body type as me and kind of the same mindset. He was from HBCU. He went to Grambling. I went to Langston. And from him being from Grambling, I kind of gravitated to his style of play. He was, 6'3.5", 220. I was 6'3", 210. Chris was a slot guy more. I was an outside guy more. So I probably gravitated more towards Jake Reed and listening to the things he would do. Because and matter of fact, he had some of the same issues physically his first couple years. Mm-hmm. Chris Carter was so talented. Me and him, I never had the issues that Chris had. He could. His lower extremities, he was really strong, so he could like step out of curls and speed cut things easier than what I could, and I never learned it. And I remember Jake had told me his first 2 or 3 years he was going through these things that our receivers coach at the time, Chip Myers, would have me doing during that time. So I was always relaying back to Jake on those things, and again I try to pick it up as fast as possible, but. Chris was more of the situational guy. This is the 49ers. We're playing Jerry Rice and the 49ers this week. So we got to be on our A game because 49ers think they have the best receiving squad, and we think we have the best receiving squad. So, Chris, we would lean on, Chris for stuff like that. In-game stuff, Chris was very smart, very, cerebral when it comes to 3rd and 4 situation. Like they're kind of go cover 0 and put hash here because the safety's going to come down, and then I'll get one-on-one if I, all that stuff. And so he was very good when it came to that stuff. But as far as, again, like living and off the field type of stuff, I probably gravitated more towards Jake Reed, actually.
And your perspective, what does it mean to you that you can see more inclusion and diversity within not just the NFL, but different sporting leagues?
I love it. I think there need to be more even. Again, there's a lot of general managers, pro personnel directors, of course, owners, like I said, they're, if they're white and they don't have, to me, they don't have enough compared to what the players are. There's 75% of the players in the NFL are African American, and I guarantee not 25% are on coaching staff or in scouting. You know what I'm saying? And I know they're trying as well. So I tried for years upon years, and I never got a shot to do that stuff. So I think that I think there's room for more. Have we gotten a little bit better? Yeah. I mean, why not be a lot better though? I mean, why stop now? But again, I think the more college coaches that become African American, that can become, NFL coaches from there, that'll help as well. Because again, it's the same thing. You got in college football, there's probably 70% of all the guys are African American, but there's 4 or 5 African American coaches in college football. So I think it starts there, and then it'll trickle up to the NFL. I don't think it'll trickle down the opposite way. So hopefully we'll continue to, again, keep people's eyes open. And again, I don't know what the stigma is on, the African-American coaches aren't serious, or they can't lead a team. I don't know what it is. So, but it definitely needs to change a little bit more.
Now, after you had drafted, I think you had spent maybe like 3 years with the Vikings and then bounced around a little bit. At that current time, how did you just go in and have a chip on your shoulder and not get down on yourself because the team didn't want you full time?
It's never about getting down on myself. I would never doubt my skill at the time. I just thought, again, I think I needed an opportunity. I was in Minnesota for 4 years, and fortunately and unfortunately, I played behind 2 Hall of Famers. And not a lot of people can say that, and not a lot of people can say that because, again, that at that time, you're throwing the ball 30 times a game. We weren't throwing the ball 45, 50 times like they do now. Again, 2020, my career would be totally different. I'd be a superstar, in my eyes. But again, 97, 98, I said Maltz came over. Maltz was a number 3 for those first 8 to 9 games. He didn't even come in starting. People don't even realize that. Oh, he came in, he tore the league up. He was tearing the league up as a number 3. So people don't understand that. He was getting, literally 4 targets a game. Just 2 happened to be 50-yard touchdowns. But now, again, you have receivers. I think somebody this past weekend had 9 targets in the first half. I was like, that's amazing to me. Randy, when Randy was at his top and Chris was at his top, they weren't getting 9 targets in a game. Like Chris would get like 8 targets and have 7 or 6 catches. Randy would get like 7, targets with like 4 or 5 catches. And that was good, but this whole get targeted 15 to 20 times a game, it's amazing to me. But yeah, I've never doubted the skill set I had. When I was put on the field, I performed. Again, I was never a number 1, so I never had to go up against the number 1 corner every single game, or I never had to get double teamed every single game, right? Because Randy had to do that, and he still excelled even after that, but I never went through that. But everything else, as far as getting put on the field and go beat this nickel or go beat the backside corner, I was open. That's as good as it gets. And again, 2020 version, they'll put on Twitter and Instagram a receiver, crossing over a DB on a release, but he didn't get ball, but it was still gets thousands of views because he had a great release. I'm like, I could have been me. I had a great release a whole bunch of times. But I mean, it was so long ago, and I've learned so much going through that process. Again, it doesn't bother me. Did I want more? Absolutely. I wanted to be the best receiver ever played a game, and I put in the work to do that, and it just didn't happen. So, but as long as I put in the work, I'm good with how it came out, though.
So we're going to go back to your former team. What is wrong with Minnesota right now? Do you think Captain Kirk can take that team all the way to the playoffs? What's going on out there? Y'all have the right pieces, in my opinion.
They have the right pieces. It's just the Super Bowl is tough, man. I mean, our 98 team, I think we had 5 Hall of Famers, I think 12 Pro Bowlers that one year, and we didn't go to the Super Bowl. So to get to the Super Bowl, you have to have everything going for you. And to me, the number one thing for a Super Bowl team to have has nothing to do with on the field. It's that locker room. It's that team camaraderie. It's that, can I depend on you? Do I like you? Do I want to like you? Do I still hang out with you? Those things matter when it comes to championship teams. And it doesn't matter to people when they don't go to the championship, because they say, that's got nothing to do with it. But if you talk to championship teams, they all have the same story. Yeah, we hung out with each other a little bit more this off season, or we bonded more in hotels. And I mean, that's what coaching is. And again, I think especially younger coaches, especially college coaches, again, they don't understand that you're going to have to build up your team camaraderie more than you condition them, more than you X and O them. Football is going to take care of itself, right? Everybody's on equal platform, right? The Saints are running a 12-yard curl, just like USC is running a 12-yard curl, just like modern day high school is running a 12-yard curl. Well, X's and O's are the same. Yeah, they're going to be, here and there a little bit different. I get it. But where can you gain an advantage? And the only way to do that is, again, out of 53 players or 100 players in college or 60 in high school, how many of those guys do you get pulling the same way? If you get 100%, you're closer to that championship. And again, goes back to your Steeler teams of the 2000s, and right, they were just always a together team. You go to your Patriot teams. They were never the most talented. They never had Hall of Famers everywhere. They never had Pro Bowlers everywhere. But when you go back to their team camaraderie and the team and coaching, those locker rooms are very, very tight. I think that's the biggest difference right now. Now, not to say I don't know a lot about the Vikings locker room itself, but yeah, they're going to have talent. And again, the only way they're going to be able to catch up to the Green Bay Packer team, okay, they're not going to get Aaron Rodgers, right? Because he's with the Packers, right? You're not going to go get Russell Wilson, and you have a good enough quarterback. So everything else is, okay, can we stay healthy, right? Health got a lot to do with it. A little bit of luck here and there, create your own luck. And then again, can you come together as a team? Sometimes losing helps you come together. Sometimes winning helps you come together. So right now they have been playing better over the last couple of weeks. So they might be able to make a run and get into that 7th spot this year. But again, I think the roster wise is there. Coach Zimmer, great coach. He's there. So I think they just probably went through a bump, and that might have made them stronger. If they go ahead and close out these next 5 games, they'll be in the playoffs.
In your personal opinion, how can we highlight more HBCUs to get more talent out there so the NFL scouts can actually see what HBCU represents? Scouts go to every school. So again, here's, I have this discussion a lot. So if you can play, they're going to find you. There's smaller schools in HBCUs that, players still come out of. But at the same time, you can't be 5'8", 160 pounds, and have 10 catches and be like, yo, I'm not getting a shot. Like, you have to dominate that level. You can't just have 10 catches in a season. You can't have 20 catches in a season. You got to have some – you got to be – if you only have 10 catches, you have to be a legit 4.2. You know what I'm saying? Or you have to be legit 6'3", 220,
and you're still running a 4.5 and only have 10 catches. Like then you'll get a look. You'll definitely get a look, but you can't just be, he doesn't lift weights and he's got good hands and he's got great routes. He only had 10 catches and they went 5-5. And then the only other 2 DBs that he went up against that are going to go play Canadian football, he had 0 catches against. Like, it doesn't compute. But again, if you have it's going to start with the height, weight, size, speed combination for your position. Can't be a defensive end and be 5'11", or you can't be a corner and be 5'4". Just you can't be that. So your physical attributes will come in. Then once you have the physical attributes, they're going to see you and they're going to evaluate you. Again, I can give me 5 plays on most players. I can tell you if they're at least ready for the NFL. Give me 10 plays on each player. I can tell you, like I said, I can put it in in a box. Okay, early round guy, mid round guy, free agent guy. I don't have to see much. I know what I'm looking at, and they're the same way. They're professional. They do it every single day.
And my last question for you is, what teams do you think is going to the Super Bowl this year?
I never make Super Bowl predictions because I'll never be right. But I do make championship predictions, in which now that I say this, I'm going to be wrong. But I'm usually right with my championship, AFC, NFC championship. NFC championship is going to be the Packers and the Seahawks. AFC championship will be the Steelers and the Chiefs. I feel confident about those.
Do you feel confident about the Steelers, though?
You said what?
Do you feel confident about the Steelers?
Oh yeah.
Yesterday they almost gave it up.
Okay, so again, you sound like ESPN right now. So they played one bad game yesterday. So what they do week 8 or week 6 or week 3?
I mean, I get you, but that's against RG3, and then they even have the backup to the backup.
Okay. So week 3 when they played against a Pro Bowl quarterback and they shut him down. I need that same positive energy with because it's all connected. Because again, out of 16 games, no NFL team's going to play great. I don't even care if they lost yesterday, right? The things they have going for them: number 1, a quarterback who's a veteran, right? Great veteran, right? Number 2, an enough run game, and number 3, they have a bunch of number 2s at receiver. They don't have a number 1, and then they have it right. They just got 3-4 number 2s, and they distribute the ball, so you really can't shut one of them down. And of course, they have one of the best top 5 coaches in the NFL, and Mike Tomlin, and a great defense. So I think they'll be there. And then this is the AFC, so it's not like a lot. I take them over the Buffalo Bills any day of the week. I take them over the Dolphins any day of the week. Take them like Tennessee. That's the wild card, and over the AFC South. The Browns. I mean, you're not even in the discussion.
All right, hold up. There's another wild card too with the Colts. Phillip Rivers is actually doing decent out there.
Phillip, they've gotten better. Unfortunately, I think Phillip needed a training camp and off season to really make that team go. And again, I like the Colts. I don't see them beating the Steelers. Just like I don't see the Chiefs. I mean, the Tennessee Titans beating the Steelers. I like them. I like them against a lot of other teams, but they're definitely not ready for the Steelers caliber. It's a different level, in my personal opinion. Okay.
We're gonna have to bring you back on the show to talk
Absolutely.
But
time, my guy.
Oh yeah, definitely. But we gotta close this segment out. Thank you for joining me. I definitely enjoy hearing about your journey, as well as some inspiring words, as well as your Super Bowl predictions. Where can we find you on social media?
So yeah, social media, again, check out my podcast, Get Your Popcorn Ready with me and T.O. It comes out every Tuesday on the Himalaya app, Spotify, iHeart, wherever you get your podcast. My Twitter is at Hatch89, and my Instagram is Matthew Hatchette. So yep, check me out. Again, anytime you guys want to get a hold of me, hit me up on the social media.
Amen. And this is Fago Franklin III. Y'all can definitely find me on Instagram, Superjournalist87, Facebook, Fago Franklin III. Definitely, everybody have a blessed and safe, productive holiday, and we'll talk with you soon. God bless.
Congratulations, brother. Keep doing your thing, man.
Thank you, man. Appreciate it.
All right, brother. Peace.
All right, now.